Blame it on the wind.
You know, I can tell you that I was at the 1965 championship game, but I don't remember it. For 64.
Yeah, neither does anyone else.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so now we're live on YouTube. So let's go ahead. I'm going to call this meeting order. We do have a quorum. And so we'll ask Mr. Yost if he's comfortable with moving forward without a full quorum once we get to that part of the agenda. We're calling this meeting in order at 11:02 on Wednesday, November 4th. And first, I'm going to start with a roll call. Tom Aiden. Absent. Sam Battle. Absent. Barry Hubbard.
Here.
Chad Schneider. Okay, I thought we had Chad.
He's excused. He called me.
Okay. I thought we had him. All right. Derek Firestein.
Present.
Mayor Whitfield is present, and Derek Tedrow.
Present.
So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're good. We got 4. And hopefully you got a chance to review the materials that were sent to you, including the minutes from September 22nd and October 6th. We'll start with the minutes from September 22nd. Can I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
A motion, is there a second? Barry, you're muted.
I'll second.
All right, second by Barry. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none.
Question.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I didn't hear you, Derek and Barry.
I'm going to abstain since I was out of that meeting last month.
You're able to review with your.
I did review. So I did review the minutes. So, okay, so I'll go ahead and say aye as well. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Aye as well.
Thank you, thank you. Any nays? Hearing none, motion carries on the September 22nd. Next, is there a motion to approve the minutes from the October 6th meeting?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Firestein, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hubbard. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, so we have a very short agenda today. We have one public hearing, and it's for Dale Yost Construction at 260 South Logan, requesting a conditional use permit for a planned residential development for the Ridgewater subdivision in Elyria, Ohio. So I'll pass it to you, Mr. Yost, and if you could talk to us about this project, and then we'll hear some staff reports out on it as well.
Okay, well, thanks for the opportunity to present. We're currently in the position, we own about 45, 50 acres, give or take a few. We'd like to present over a period of time, 132 single-family lots, 9 which will be in phase 1 that we're considering today. There will be 77 clusters, which will consist of 13 fourplex buildings, similar to Stony Brook or my Oak Tree project. And there'll be 25 single clusters, single-family freestanding clusters. So what we've tried to do is capture a little bit of every marketplace along the line here. I believe, and Daryl can confirm, I believe we're RLD zoned on the majority. We do have a piece that's RMD, which will be in a phase to come, which we will ask for a rezoning request. Our drawings currently reflect the RLD zoning of 70-foot wide lots everywhere, and that would be the intent moving forward. But for today's consideration, we have just the fourplex units, the single-family clusters, and 9 single-family lots.
Awesome, thank you for that. Staff report, Chief Building Official, Mr. Farkas, you want to share your report?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. This report is quite intense as it involves multiple phases, multiple parcels, and 2 different distinct zoning districts. So please bear with me. I'd like to make a correction on my memo. I forgot to update the meeting date. It says September 4th. It's of course supposed to be November. The request. Note, this memo shall serve for both requests. The proponent is requesting a conditional use for phase 1 of the subdivision to accommodate a proposed cluster development. This request includes parcel number 06-24-017-102-063, 06-24-0107-102-055, and 06-24-016-00-090. Note, the overall subdivision has a combined acreage of 42.7887 for the plans provided, phase 1 included. Parcel number 06-24-017-102-063 is currently zoned residential low density district. Parcel numbers 06-24-017-102-005, 06-24-016-000-090 are currently zoned residential medium density district. The total acreage consists of 14.0346 phase 1/cluster after lot split, which will be continued on in my report. Staff findings continued. Phase 1. Phase 1 of the subdivision is proposed to have 86 sublots consisting of single-family home cluster type dwelling units. 25 of the lots are located within the cluster 1 phase, sublots 1 through 25, and will be single-family type homes. 52 will be cluster type dwelling units, sublots 26 through 77, in groupings of 4 per cluster, and 9 lots will be standard single-family homes. Those sublots are 78 through 86. The overall site, 42.787 acres, consists of 2 distinct zoning districts. The first is residential low-density district, and the second is a residential medium-density district. The requirements are listed herein. The conditional use is proposed for phase 1 in an RMD portion of parcel 005 and 090, last 3 digits. That is in that section only. As a conditional use is not permitted outright in a low density district, the single family homes in this phase are located in parcel 063. Note, I have listed multiple requirements for each district related to the subsections for the board's use. You guys should have a copy of the ordinance in regards to what each district pertains to low density and medium density. I won't read the requirements of low density and medium density just in essence of time. I'll continue to page 2 for the cluster development. I've included a portion of the codified ordinance governing the requirements for a cluster development as it pertains to this request, but it can also be located in chapter 1179 of the Elyria codified ordinance if more information is needed. I just did a snippet for the board's use to kind of show the requirements for a cluster. It shows the maximum density of the dwelling shall be set forth and approved for the development plan. However, the density of the entire development shall not exceed 5 dwelling units per acre unless otherwise approved by Planning Commission and Council. I went into the height requirements. I'll jump down to C, setback and separation. Building setback and separation shall be established on approved final development plat. In establishing said separations, the Planning Commission shall consider spacing necessary for adequate and visual privacy, adequate light, air, fire, emergency access, building configuration, energy efficiency, etc. Number 1 goes into the setbacks for the perimeter of the property. I've checked the plans, they comply. Number 2, the minimum sidewall to sidewall distance between buildings within a cluster development shall be 15 feet. I have further commented that on page 3 of my report. The minimum rear wall to rear wall of 35, that shows compliance. Number 4, the minimum side wall to rear wall of 30 feet shows compliance. Number 5, attached units within one shall have a 0 lot line. That is not applicable. This is not regarding a private street. Conditional use continued. I have included a portion of the codified ordinance governing the requirements of conditional use as it pertains to this quest, but it also can be located in chapter 1135 of the Elyria codified ordinance if more information is needed. Chapter 1135 governs conditional uses, specifically section 1135.03, of which requires the following be considered by Planning Commission when a request is received for conditional use approval. Page 3. The proposed use will be properly located in relation to the land use and street plan of the city. B, the proposed use is necessary to serve the community needs. C, proposed use is adequately served by the essential public facilities and services. D, the location, design, and operation of the proposed use at the specific location will not unduly discourage or interfere with the surrounding uses and properties. and the proposed use meets the specific development conditions as specified in the regulations for this district. I have a note here for the commercial lot split, which was mentioned on the plat submittal for phase 1. The plans indicate a portion of 060160090 to be split, creating a future independent commercial lot. The designation of this lot / use is not yet disclosed, nor is proposed split part of this review. Variances needed. The cluster development indicates a proposed total of 77 units to be installed when per the Elyria Codified Ordinance, Section 1179.04 Development Standards, specifically Section 1179.04A Maximum Density requires the entire development area shall not exceed 5 dwelling units per acre. A total of 70 unit maximum are permitted per this section. Mr. Yost is proposing 77. Number 2, the cluster development indicates a proposed side yard setback between each single unit to single unit dwelling to be 12 feet. Per the Elyria Codified Ordinance, Section 1179.04 Development Standard, specifically Section 1179.04C2, setback and separations require a minimum 15 feet to be maintained. So Mr. Yost will be requesting a variance for those particular lots. Staff recommendations. The commercial lot split, as mentioned herein, is incorporated as part of the proposed conditional use / cluster use request and will be subject to the regulations listed herein for the specific district in which it is located, RMD. This zoning classification limits the commercial uses and is regulated per Elyria Codified Ordinance, Chapter 1144. Once the lot is split, a possible rezone of the parcel may be required contingent upon its intended use. Number 2, the entire subdivision consists of 2 distinct zoning districts, RLD and RMD, as mentioned herein. The developer has designed the entire subdivision to comply with the residential low density district requirements, but per a recent conversation with Mr. Yost, may alter the next phases depending on future market demand, possible cluster development. I recommend the entire subdivision be rezoned, including the proposed split, to residential medium density district as a cluster use would be conditionally permitted, whereas where they are zoned residential low density district would not. I would like to stress to the board that the proposed phase 1 overlaps 2 distinct zoning districts. The bulk of the subdivision is in a residential medium density district. Per our codified ordinance, a conditional use is permitted, contingent the board grants it, but it does not permit it in the residential low density district where the part of the cul-de-sac, if you go to page 3, there's a cul-de-sac that overlaps into a separate parcel. That parcel is zoned RLD. Now the conditional use request is for the entire phase 1, which laps both districts. I've had a discussion with a law director or law department regarding this, and I let them comment as to what they feel should be necessary, but I want to bring it to the board's attention that eventually this will have to be rezoned to RMD, all 6 parcels. And Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, this potential split, are you looking to rezone this to a BG possibly?
Would depend on the intended purchaser. I mean, right now, we're just going to leave it out there, and if somebody comes along and wants to, and we've already contacted Speedway, we've contacted Friendship, thinking it would be a good place for a possible gas station or a service station. They've both declined at the request, just don't feel that there's enough density in that area to support it. So at the present time, we're just putting it out there to say, hey, it's for sale. If somebody comes along and has a dream to put something there, we would bring that intent to the Planning Commission for the question of rezoning. So
Okay.
yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Yost. I'll finish with my recommendation that the petition for the phase 1 be approved with the above list of recommendations taken into consideration. Thank you. That was a doozy.
Thank you, Mr. Farkas. So I definitely want to give Sufi a chance to speak from a law department standpoint and also engineering, and our fire marshal, give them a chance as well to express any concerns or any ideas, thoughts around this.
Well, for this project, I know there's two variances that definitely need to happen for this district. You know, the number 2 on page, the two variances listed on page 3 in Mr. Farkas's report, those definitely need to occur. And really, it's what Daryl said. I'll just piggyback off of what he said. We've discussed this, and those two variances have to happen. And I'm not sure what's happening to my screen. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, I'm just showing them the variances.
Oh,
here.
okay. Sorry, I don't use Zoom all the time. Okay. But yeah, that's really all I have to add is those two variances need to occur.
Okay, thank you for that, Suvi. So again, I think Mr. Farkas, you shared that this is just phase 1 of this. This is the first phase, and then eventually Mr. Yost is going to need to come back for the rezone and for us to make further decisions about variances, et cetera. But this is the first step, and it sounds like you're comfortable with this first step, but just having the board know that the expectation is we're going to have to do a lot of work in the following steps of rezones and variances for setbacks and other things as well.
Agreed. Mr. Yost and I spoke, and I guess we put it best as we'll clean it up on the back end when we move to the next phase, but just so there's an understanding of where we need to go so the board understands.
Chief Engineer, you got anything that you want to share? Fire Marshal, you got anything you want to share?
In regards to the zoning, no. In regards to the subdivision, I will say that I have sat down with Mr. Yost. We've gone over it. He had to tweak a few things here and there. A couple things still need to be tweaked. The overall layout, engineering doesn't have a problem with. The road widths are narrower than 28 foot as defined in the ordinances. The proponent's looking for, I believe on the private side, 24 foot, and on the public side, 26 foot 2 inches, so that he can maintain parking on one side. I know that's something that the commission has allowed in the past with other subdivisions. But other than that, everything else I have is stuff that I can work out with the developer.
Thank you. Fire Marshal?
Yeah, John, thank you, Mayor. John covered what I was going to mention was the widths of the roads, the access for fire apparatus. We have more than one way. That's good. I was just going to mention to Mr. Yost that anything below 26 feet width means no parking per the fire code. So
Right.
that's all I was going to mention, sir.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, Bob, if you would, just from myself and maybe anyone that's working on YouTube, or watching on YouTube, could you give a brief description of where this project is located?
It's actually, it would be north of Fowl Road, west of West Ridge Road, and south of 113. So the best way to say is across the street from Church of the Open Door to the west.
Okay, I got you.
Yep.
Let's see if I can pull it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and as far as accessibility, we have, we'll have a road entrance on 113. We'll have a road entrance off of the existing subdivision. I can't remember the name of the street.
Potomac.
Yep. And
So, I'm sorry.
to Fowl. So you'll have 3 means of egress.
Okay, so you'll be able to access. So they have there's new housing going in with the Ryan project through there right now, right? So you're talking about coming south of where they're completing their project.
We'll be north of them. They're actually south of us.
Okay, all right, gotcha. All right, so
Yeah.
so you're between say the Leo Bullocks and 113, not between Leo Bullocks and Albrecht.
But to the west.
Correct. All right.
So
Gotcha.
you're in this field right here. You're looking at this field right here.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Plus all the way down next to Dollar General.
And you
Yep.
said plus that too?
Yep,
Yes.
that's
Okay.
included as well, Frank.
Okay. Sure. So it's in behind these homes that are already on West Ridge Road. I got you. Okay.
Correct.
So I thought you were down here by Albrecht. I couldn't figure out where you were building this, so I got you.
Yep.
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for
Yep.
that.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Mr. Yost.
All right, Daryl, did we request the variances now, or do we still have to come back with the variance request?
I'll let the legal advisor respond to that.
Okay, because I thought we made two applications, one for the rezoning and one for the variance, didn't we?
I thought it was for the actual subdivision submittal and then the conditional use. I wasn't.
You made, I think you're correct. Okay,
Yeah, there was no variance.
Mary said she didn't get that, Bob.
okay, sounds good.
One other thing, just to interject, as far as the phase one district, there's just as Daryl mentioned, we have the medium density area, and then we have the low density area. Within this residential phase one district, you can't have two classifications, the low density and the medium density. So we would recommend that that it be rezoned for entirely medium density zoning. And then in the future, if that needs to be changed in the future, you can come back and do that. But as it currently stands for this phase one, it would need to be one classification, and then or remove that little cul-de-sac area. Those are the options. But if you want to include that cul-de-sac area, then it does have to be all zoned as medium density to have that cluster overlay.
If I could, isn't that where, okay, I see what you're saying. And to incorporate the cluster overlay, even though the single family homes are within their given zoning classification.
Correct.
Which is that MRD or MLD?
The cul-de-sac, Bob, is located in the LD. As your phase one morphs into that LD, the conditional use is not even an option in the low density district. So that's where we're talking about just rezoning it to MD, and that way you can have free reign through the entire subdivision to pick and choose.
And if I'm correct, Daryl, the MD is a 70-foot lot?
Oh, hold on.
I think so. I want to make sure we're not talking about 60-foot wide lots, because we don't want 60-foot wide lots. We want 70.
I thought you guys geared it to where it would be fine. I think MD is 60. MD minimum frontage 60 feet is MD, and I think you went 70. You went LD, right?
To meet the LD requirement.
Right.
So even though we're going to ask for an RMD zoning classification over the whole area,
you're better than code.
We're still conforming to the RLD. We're better than what we
better
need
than code, and
okay.
I'm happy with that.
Okay, so am I. I have no problems with that.
Okay.
I'm trying to understand my path for what's next so we can go to work.
This is good discussion. And so any other questions from the board? Okay, let me pull the agenda back up. Sorry. And as you mentioned, there was two things. So let me just pull it back up. So you can see what I see.
I do have a question.
Yeah, please.
Just to Ms. Tomsky, did we receive any opponents or proponents of the project when the letters went out to the surrounding property owners?
Did not.
Did not. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the next part of the agenda. So we're gonna separate each one of these. But are there any other proponents of this project? Are there any other proponents? Are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents on the call or on the line here? Are there any opponents? Are there any opponents? Are there any opponents? All right, hearing none, I would like to entertain a motion to approve, and Mr. Perkins, correct me if I'm wrong, to approve the request for a conditional use permit for the planned residential development cluster homes for the Ridgewater subdivision in Elyria, Ohio.
Right.
Is there a motion?
And that would be subject to the
Condition.
two variances included in the.
Yeah, subject to the variances included. Thank you. So an amendment to that motion would be
And to
subject,
the rezoning.
subject to the zoning and variances approved by this board eventually.
So moved.
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Berry, second by Mr. Tedrow. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. And were there any abstentions? All right, motion carries. This second piece, is this another one we need to do? Is this another, this planning commission case? Do we need to do this as well?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so the second piece is the Dale Yost Construction request for a new subdivision, Ridgewater subdivision located in the area of West Ridge Road and Fowl Road in Elyria. Again, are there any proponents? Are there any proponents? Are there any other proponents? Any other proponents? Are there any opponents? Are there any opponents on the line or on the call? Any opponents? All right, hearing none, I would like to entertain a motion to approve the request for a new subdivision, Ridgewater subdivision located in the area of West Ridge Road and Fowl Road in Elyria, Ohio, subject to the variances and rezoning that was discussed here that will be eventually coming before the commission.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Tedrow. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Second by Mr. Hubbard. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. And were there any abstentions? All right, motion carries. All right, thank you, Mr. Yost. Appreciate you.
One thing, Mayor Whitfield, if I could,
Yeah.
Daryl, I would imagine that the two zoning or the zoning request and the two variances come back to you to Planning Commission, correct?
Yes, you would have to apply for the rezoning. And I'll let the legals respond in regards to the variances, because Planning Commission does have the power to grant variances. And if that was part of their first conditional approval of phase one, I would think you're okay, but I won't.
So are the variances part of the conditional approval or no?
I would think so, but I will let legal respond.
Yes, they are.
So really, the only thing that I have to do is the rezoning request.
Yes,
Okay, and that'll come to you, Daryl, and then go before Planning Commission.
yes.
Okay, and I need Jim Taylor not to be your mayor so he can prepare my rezoning request. Just a second. All right, I'll figure that out on my end. Guys, thank you very much for considering this, and we appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Yost.
Thank you, Bob.
All righty, take care, thanks.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple applications that were approved by the design review staff. I don't know if there's any questions about those applications. If not, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Mr.
Second.
Hubbard, second and third by everybody, Jesus. Second by Mr. Firestein. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. All right, y'all, take care. Have a good day. Good job. Thank y'all for the hard
Thanks,
work.
everyone.
Thank you.
Great job, Mr. Parker.
Thank you. Let's move.
Maybe we'll have a new president by the next time we get together. Or at least know who it is.